And that's the reason we are starting late. You got to bear with us. You know, the last time I was here, we said we're going to not even tackle the issue, handle the issue of Vedanta and how can we use it in our daily lives, right? So I would like to start by Are we okay? Instant. Yeah. I would like to start with gratitude and paying pranams to the monks of Ramakrishna order, some very senior monks too. Especially, I would like to name some of them. Swami Swatma Ramanandaji, who is the president of Durban Ramakrishna Center in South Africa. He was the one who taught me about my guru. When you take a guru, it's one thing to keep the picture or the idol and then pray for the guru. But the reason that we need a guru is to truly understand the guru and his message. When I read about Ramakrishna, it's easy to read, but very difficult to really understand the hidden message, because everything a guru speaks is truly based on the highest knowledge of Upanishads. But they will speak in such simple terms, at least for people like me, I could not decipher, decode the Upanishad message that was said by my guru in such simple terms as we speak in everyday terms. So it was Swami Swatma Ramanandaji who actually helped me to understand everything that my guru said was nothing but the Upanishad message. And the second Swamiji is Swami Nityastanandaji, who is the president of Bengalore Ramakrishna Ashram. He made me understand my guru's guru, who is, my guru had many gurus, but the ultimate guru was the Advaita Guru Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya. So Swami Nityastanandaji helped me to understand about Adi Shankaracharya's message by teaching me about many of the Prakarana Granthas. One of them is Vivekachudamani, which we're going to be holding Vivekachudamani talks in Ramakrishna Ashram here in Vadodara next month. So Swami Nityastanandaji taught me about my guru's guru, which is really important. And Swami Ishtamayanandaji, who is the president of Ramakrishna Mutt here in Vadodara, who gave me an opportunity to really love what I do, to share whatever I know. And not just sharing the knowledge, as some of you might remember, I'm not just sharing my knowledge. Absolutely not. I'm actually sharing my joy of whatever little that I have understood about my guru and my guru's guru. And I bring that to you. And I hope you also enjoy as much as I'm enjoying this path. So for all the spiritual seekers, and we are co-passengers, we are traveling on this journey together to evolve together. So the purpose of this series of talks is to understand practical Vedanta from a neuroscience perspective, so that it will help us to implement the Vedantic concepts in our day-to-day lives. Now, you all know my format, how I do. I will stop in the middle for interaction. But if something you have not understood, or if something is confusing for you because of what you already know, then stop me and ask me. It's very important. It's not that how much I cover, but whatever we cover, let us go deep and understand and see how we can implement. Is that okay? Of course, we all know who that is, Swami Vivekananda. Why am I starting with picture of Vivekananda? Because we want to pay homage to Swami Vivekananda, because without him, we would not be sitting here learning anything about Vedanta, Upanishads. Before his time, Upanishads or Vedanta was limited, not just limited, it was only for the monastic order. It was Swami Vivekananda about 150 years back who actually presented this and made everybody available, and made Vedanta or Upanishads available for everybody, and not just Hindus, for the humanity. This is how he became so popular in West, because of the Vedantic message he gave to the West 150 years back. And he has a new way of presenting, which is what we're going to learn in the next 2 days. Vedanta and Upanishads, of course, we know it comes under philosophy. But he said it is not just philosophical subject. It has to be very practical. He made the Upanishads and Vedanta so practical, so that all of us, not just people in this hall, I was just discussing this with my colleague here, saying that this needs to be made available for anybody and everybody, irrespective of their socio-education, economic background. You will see why I'm making such statements. And the way he interpreted Vedanta for us to follow in day-to-day lives, it is usually labeled as Neo-Vedanta. Neo, as you know, means new Vedanta, as opposed to the classic Vedanta from Shankaracharya. But everything what he says is based on the foundation of Advaita Vedanta from Shankaracharya, but he goes beyond that. And you will see, I'm going to try and see to understand what is classic Vedanta and what is Neo-Vedanta. And then you will also see why earlier it was only restricted to monastic people, but how Vivekananda made it available for each and every one of us. You will be able to appreciate. Okay. Usually you see on TV ads saying that don't try this at home, don't do this, right? However, I'm going to tell you all, try and test this out on the kids. I'm sure looking at this heterogeneous group, you have kids of every age, right? From maybe 2 years to teenagers or adults too. What is this? Matchstick, right? Not for them to light. No. Just tell your kids, whatever age, and then you come back and tell me tomorrow which age kid would got this and appreciated this. What is this? If you tell the kid, there is fire in that matchstick, do you think the kid would understand? Fire? The kid knows about fire in a particular way. And it's a matchstick. How can there be fire inside that? Right? So what do we do by that? We strike the matchstick and then show, see the fire? It was already inside that. You couldn't see it. You didn't know it. But now you know that there is fire in the matchstick, right? Test it out with the kids and then see. You know, we are all like those kids which cannot understand that there is fire in that matchstick. This is the essence of Vedanta. What is that fire within us? We will see in a little while. And so we are all kids in this field of Vedanta. Even after understanding, we understand and comprehend at an intellectual level. Just understanding at an intellectual level comes under philosophy. This is not philosophy. This has to be practical, right? One thing to understand intellectually, another thing is to actually practice and experience it. I'm still saying it. We still don't know what that is. We will get to that. So, for us to know that there is fire inside that matchstick. And what is that fire within us? Yes, as Swami Vivekananda says, we need to go inward. Without that, it is impossible. That means we will not be able to even understand, forget about experiencing and practicing. To a certain extent, we can understand at an intellectual level through this body, mind, sense organ complex. And then we need to go beyond that, which means we really need to go inward. A beautiful statement he says. We want progress. If we just study Vedanta and then make it as a philosophical topic and compartmentalize our life, that is not what he wants. He says all of this, and then he says, what we want is progress. We want development, and we want realization of that ultimate truth. What is that? And then no theories can help us. No amount of bookish knowledge can help us, right? He goes on to say, let men think. Then I add to that, saying, let men think. Just thinking is not going to be enough. Let men feel. Again, feeling is not going to be enough. Let men act upon that essence of Vedanta. We will see. Just remember this. Let men think. Let men feel. Let men act upon this. We will connect this with, some of you might have heard about the term neuroplasticity here, right? Still remember from the last month. So we will connect this with neuroplasticity and say, what does those phrases mean? Let men think, let men feel. Then I say just thinking and feeling is not going to be enough. We need to act upon this, which means we need to be practicing. We'll see what that means. So those three, let us think, let us feel, let us act. That we need to test it out on ourselves. The first thing is to test it out on kids. And now we need to test this on ourselves. So what is that fire within? That is the essence of Vedanta, right? What is within us? just like that fire is hidden in the matchstick. To be honest with you, the essence of Vedanta, which we'll see what that is, it is not even hidden. Even we're actually seeing and experiencing, but we cannot. That is the paradox. We are actually experiencing whatever that essence of Vedanta, feeling, seeing everywhere, but we still really cannot understand. So actually in one of the Upanishads, Mandukya Upanishad says, it is not even about experiencing. We really experience that essence of Vedanta every day while we sleep. While we sleep. But when we get up, we don't realize, right? We will get to that. I know I'm purposely saying, giving you in different levels of doses. What is that we are feeling every day when we sleep? The only thing in deep sleep that is present within all of us is that, if I can just use the word, pure consciousness, not mind. Mind is not there when we are in deep sleep. In dream state, yes, the mind is active. But when we, all of us, whether as human beings or animals, even in deep sleep, even a mosquito when it sleeps, what is present at that time is that pure awareness. What we are used to call from an Upanishad perspective, that Sat Chit Ananda. That Ananda aspect is actually confined to human beings. Only human beings can experience that Ananda aspect. Whereas the Sat aspect and the Chit aspect is experienced by all living beings. And just the Sat aspect is experienced in non-living things. And they say in Upanishad, even the Chit aspect is at such a rudimentary level, even in non-living things. But we will just understand that Sat aspect of Sat Chit Ananda. That is the shortest definition of God that we can give, right? God, according to, let us say, everything what we're going to be covering is from the Advaitic perspective. So, what is the essence of Vedanta? What is that is hidden in that matchstick, that fire within? What is inside us? This is the divinity in man. That we are all spiritual beings going through a human experience. We usually think we are human beings. When we do puja, when we do meditate, when we go temple, that is when we experience the spiritual nature of us. That is not what Vedanta tells us. We are all spiritual beings and we're just going through a human experience. That is why we go through, let us say, just suffering because of the human experience. But we are actually spiritual beings, and that is what the essence of Vedanta is, assertion of that divinity in man. Go a step further and then say, this assertion of divinity in man, otherwise the capability of understanding and realizing this divinity in man, only man can do this. No other animal has the cerebral capacity, has the cerebral capability to manifest this divinity that is already within us. And that is why it reminds me of a phrase from Bhagavatam. It says, Brahmavaloka Dhishanam, which is nothing but only humans have this capability to understand and manifest this divinity that is already within us. And as Vivekananda said, it's not just from a philosophical angle, it has to be practical. We need to understand this beyond doubt. By the way, that is what I left off with Mandukya Upanishad, which says, you don't even have to do anything because we are experiencing it all the time, but we don't know, that's all. We are ignorant of the fact that we are even experiencing it. So, especially in Mandukya Upanishad, it says, you need to be convinced at an intellectual level beyond any doubt. And that is the hardest part for all of us. Because if we are convinced beyond doubt, then we will be behaving like that. It is so simple, so easy, but yet it is so hard. That is why what I have interpreted from a scientific angle is manifesting this divinity is not after a certain stage. Many times we feel this. We have manifested this divinity. We will see what I mean by that in a little while. What are those divine attributes, divine qualities that we can manifest? We have all done that. And that is why we are here to learn how do we do this more and more for a longer length of time. But we manifest only in, let us say, in bubbles or in spurts of time, not all the time. This is the neuroscience perspective that I say, manifestation of divinity, which I call it as evolution of human beings, that happens from a moment to moment basis. And it is not a stage of evolution to reach, which means we have the capacity and capability to do so, to manifest this divinity until our last breath. That is that hopeful message of Vedanta. So, this is the essence of Vedanta, and by understanding this, Vivekananda says, that essence of Vedanta, our true nature, our real nature, or that whatever you might want to call, that truth with a capital T. When we do this, it gives us lot of strength and inspiration to develop faith within oneself. Because if we can recall the statement about faith, what Vivekananda has said, it's, if you don't have faith in yourself, you cannot even have faith in God. Or if you have faith in God, that means it is having faith in oneself. Such strong, powerful statement by Vivekananda. What does he mean by that? We get the strength and we get inspired to do anything, to achieve any goal in life. What does he mean by that? Let us see. One could be a student, a homemaker, professional, retiree, an activist, whatever we are, it does not matter. When he says, when you implement this essence of Vedanta or the Vedantic concept, or understand the ultimate truth, whichever category that you belong, or it could be all of it, you will be a better person, a better student, better homemaker, better professional. Whatever we are, we can do whatever we are doing in a better manner. Again, what do we mean by that? Let us see. This is what Swami Ranganathananda ji, who is the 13th president of Ramakrishna order. I still remember my childhood days. I could hardly understand what he was talking about. But I knew he was quoting Charles Darwin, bringing in science and evolution and whatnot. I was even a teenager and even a preteen. I would be mesmerized because at that stage, I didn't think Swamijis and sadhus would talk about science, would talk about evolution and quote Darwin and whatnot. And even today, I just follow many or all of this, trying, I should say, not follow, trying to follow whatever he has talked about is about Vedanta, especially from the implementation point of view. So what I'm going to talk to you in this slide is everything what he has said, which means he says, what does that mean? Well, whoever you are, you can be better. If you're a student, a better student, a homemaker, a better homemaker. What does that mean? That means we need to convert this body into a laboratory, into a lab. Again, what does it mean by that? Convert this body into a lab? What does that mean? He says, you know, we get all these afflictive feelings and emotions from outside, from others. Anger, hatred, jealousy, and many of the negative feelings and whatnot. Take that in, process it inside this body and mind. When you process it, give out only love, he says. You can give double the anger, double the jealousy. That is also possible. We have done that before. But once you get into this path of spirituality, and especially even trying to understand is enough on Vedanta, the ultimate Advaitic message, and trying to implement, I can assure you, you can never ever give out anger or hatred or jealousy to others. So when we process all of these negative feelings inside this body and only give out love and compassion, that is what it talks about, converting this body into a lab. You know, I take just one name of Shiva. We all know about Neelakantha, right? One of the names of Shiva. We don't have to go to that mythological story. How Shiva got that name, Neelakantha, blue-throated god. This is how in West they identify Shiva as blue-throated god, blue throat, Neelakantha. You know, it is so symbolic. That name is so symbolic. And that is what Ranganathananda ji is saying even in simpler terms. What do I mean by that? Neelakantha, what did Shiva do? He took out the poison, hala. He took all of that poison. And of course, Parvati helped to retain it in the throat, right? Shiva and Shakti, there is a Abheda. You cannot separate Shiva and Shakti, if I may. So Parvati helped that poison not to spread. So it is all focused and concentrated in his throat. I know it's a story, mythological story. How symbolic it is. This is what we need to understand. Yes, keeping Shiva as an idol and then doing puja is great. And if we just remain at that stage, we won't be able to get the essence of any God's message for that matter. And reciting is the beginning. Reciting 1,000 names of Shiva is the beginning. But understanding is the next step, and implementing the meaning of whether 1,000 names of Shiva or Vishnu. We have done all of this, right? Vishnu Sahasranama, Shiva Sahasranama. That the monks have taught me, that is the kindergarten stage. Very important though. Very important. We have to start at the kindergarten stage. It is like learning alphabets and numbers, but we cannot just stay. And now if you say, I know how to read, we cannot ignore alphabets, right? It has to be inclusive. Then we have to move to the next stage of understanding. So coming back to Nilakantha, the blue-throated god, he took all the poison, hala hala, and he gave out only Mangalam. Another meaning of Shiva is Mangalam, or auspiciousness. And that is what, even in a simpler manner, Swami Ranganathananda ji is giving this message. So the essence of Vedanta is this, converting this body into a lab so that we can just emanate love and compassion with others. This is the introduction. If you have any questions, doubts, yes. Yes. Yeah. Great question. We're going to go through that probably shortly in 3 days. We have to establish the Vedantic concepts, and then we will touch upon how. And we'll definitely touch upon before how, what is it that prevents us to do this? That's very, very important. As much as how we should do this, we should also know what is it that prevents us, even knowing all of this, what it is. And the third day, I will give you one simple question to ask, and that is what is going to help. And then if I will say that, but if I forget, please remind me on Monday. If we ask ourselves one simple question, I will hold that until Monday. That is what is going to help us. We don't even need any of the tools. If we can, without any doubt, answer that question ourselves and then implement that. Anybody else? Yes. That is not just emotional intelligence, social intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Yes, now we understand that there are multiple intelligences and everybody learns in different ways. And yeah, this is, I'm not dealing with emotional intelligence directly, but if that's a separate topic in itself. How do we develop emotional intelligence from a neuroscience perspective, not just from just providing tools perspective? Tools are easy, how to develop the emotional intelligence. Why we need to do that is even more important. So we can take that up, Dr. Kiran, some other time. But all of this amounts to that. It's a byproduct. But we are going even deeper than emotions is whatever. We will get to that. As much as possible in 3 days, 1 hour each. Anybody? Anybody else? Okay. So with that brief introduction, the flow is going to be like this. I have selected few quotes from my guru, Ramkrishna, Sharada, Srimati Sharada Devi, and Swami Vivekananda. Based on that, I'm going to develop how to implement this Vedantic message. And how do we integrate 4 yogas? Usually we are familiar with 3 yogas, Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Again, it was Swami Vivekananda who popularized the Raja Yoga aspect, which is very important for you all as yoga teachers, because that comes from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, Raja Yoga. So integration of 4 yogas. And what is this practical Vedanta? What is called Neo Vedanta. With our senior monk's permission, I am using the term Viveka Vedanta rather than Neo Vedanta. We will see what that is, and the need of a guru for all of this, and how do we implement. The implementation aspect, this is where the scientific aspect comes from. How do we convert this negativity into positivity, or I would say even divinity, not just positivity. So this is the way it is going to be for the next 2 days. And by the way, somebody has to tell me when the time is up, because I truly lose track of myself. Somebody has to do that. Kiran Bhai. Huh? Until 8. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep track, but somebody has to do it. What are the selected quotes of the Holy Trio? See, again, it was Swatma Ramanandaji Maharaj who made me understand about the 3 gurus, Ramakrishna, Srimati, and Vivekananda. He said, Sri Ramakrishna was the inspiration behind everything. Okay, so we will see what the other 2 are. And then 3 quotes that I have chosen of Ramakrishna is, so long as God seems to be outside and far away, there is ignorance. There still remains ignorance. As long as we think God is somewhere in the heaven, that is how we have been taught. As soon as we say God, we look up into the heaven. Heaven means it's up. Forget about heaven. Even when we, even now, how do we teach kids? Where is sky? Sky means we look up, right? But sky is nothing but space. We are surrounded by sky or space. Even after knowing this, it has become a habit. In the same way, as soon as we think of God, we think He's outside, elsewhere, and then we look up. When we do that, there is still ignorance. But when that God that we know somewhere outside or in the heaven or in our puja room, when that God is realized within us, He says, that is true knowledge. And what does that knowledge do? It helps to bring people together. It leads to unity. And ignorance leads to diversity. Just how many words? 8 words. So profound. And this is what is needed in this day and age for the entire humanity, for entire world. This is the reason we have borders, whether in our communities, between between nations, we have those borders. We feel that we are all diverse, and then what he's saying is this is because of our ignorance. If we truly understand the essence of Vedantic message, that leads to unity. Lastly, with this goal of spiritual life is reached, there remains only compassion in the heart, and there remains only love, which is that unconditional love he's known for, which is called ahaituka priti. And this entire thing, again, Swami Ranganathanandaji, that's a statement by Ranganathanandaji. He has put it in such simple words, sentence, like he said, convert your body into a lab. And he says, all of that, there is a mother-in-law in each and every one of us, whether we know it or not. It's not a gender-based mother-in-law. It's like the tattva of mother-in-law, tattva in each and every one of us. And he says simply, convert that mother-in-law into a mother in love. And that is one of the yardsticks. Yes, I like that. It brings such smile on our faces, right? How do we do that? We will see. And the quote by Sharda Devi, this is her ultimate last message, that very, very popular. Whereas the other three messages of Ramakrishna are not as often quoted, but this is the most popular message. It says, if you want peace, do not find fault with others. Rather, see your own faults and learn to make the world your own. She's not just saying home your own, your nation your own, the world itself as your own. And there is no stranger, and the whole world is your own. She goes on to say, we suffer. There is suffering in humans because of our own actions. And it's really unfair to blame anybody for our suffering. But because of the habit, we keep pointing to fingers because of this, because of that, because of this person, because of that person. We are suffering. Such simple terms, she said it in a beautiful way. By the way, the other eye, that Ramakrishna, Sharda Devi and Vivekananda represent the three eyes, you know. Ramakrishna of inspiration. Sharda Devi was all about implementation. She showed everybody how to implement all these Vedantic concepts in her day-to-day lives. But of course, we're not going to the history, life history of Sharda Devi, which we can get it from the books. But we are taking a neuroscience perspective as to how do we implement such concepts and what is it that prevents us. And the last eye, Swami Vivekananda, he interpreted all this such complex Vedantic message into simple terms. So his role was interpreting his guru's Vedantic message, his inspiration. And he interpreted in simple terms, which is what we are going to be learning, which is nothing but a manifest the divinity that is already within you. Another way of saying, we are all spiritual beings going through the human experience. And again, as I said earlier, you cannot believe in God until you believe in yourself. Extremely important. So based on these three teachings, we will continue further. I think if you have few questions, I'll take it. Otherwise, this is a time to stop. We will take up the integration of 4 yogas tomorrow. Yes. Can you please speak up? I cannot hear you. Your voice is very low. If you can speak up. Or if you can come to the front to save time. Because with the outside noise, it is very hard. Ignorance of who we are, our true nature, Because I made a statement, we are all spiritual beings going through human experience. We can parrot the words, but we really don't understand the true meaning of that. That is what I'm going to try and develop in the next 2 days. And when we really do not know our true nature, when we really do not know who we are, what we are, that is ignorance. Okay. Thank you.